Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Do you want to chat for 30 seconds as a hello, hey, we're doing a show and here comes our friend?
Not really, but...
We'll do a formal start later.
Mark Lundholm! Oh, he's connecting.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Hey, you're like this. You're sideways. It's very entertaining.
You know what? I wouldn't know if it's rotation lock or something. Let me do...
There it is.
Okay, any better?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's a first. Yay. Cool. How are you guys?
Good, Mark. I fucking love it. Mark Lundholm, I'm so freaking happy to have you here. This is such a treat. And, you know, Cassidy and I were texting back and forth this morning. He was like, help me, who is this? What's happening? And I was like, here, look at these links and watch all these amazing videos of this amazing Mark Lundholm man. And what was fun was when he was doing an initial search just on his own, as he was getting like child pornographers and like all kinds of creepos. And I was like, Mark is creepy, but not like that.
Okay. Yeah. it's I'm creepy in a good way.
You're my favorite kind of creepy. You're like cuddly and creepy at the same time.
Yeah. You know what? That sounds like everybody I've ever dated. So I love the fact that creepy is a word that people can use at me and it doesn't trigger anything. It comes from you. I understand from you what that means.
You understand my silliness. Also, it's a testament to the depth of your own self-growth healing work. You're such a wizard, it just flies off you like Teflon.
Okay. All right. I've called myself worse. How's that?
Okay, that's good. For a little bit of context, and then I would love to just directly introduce you to you guys, you and Cass can chat and all of that. Is it just for folks listening, like Mark and I met? Mark is like a world famous, world traveling solo performer, stand-up comedian of the consciousness, recovery, awareness realms. And he and I met years ago. I will be amazed if you're good at years, Mark. I don't remember time very well, but we met after a show you were doing in Coral Gables, Florida, I think, or the Coconut Grove Playhouse.
Wow.
And here's what's trippy. I don't even know if you remember this, but I was writing my first solo show while in treatment. I was in a treatment center writing the thing, and it was like channeling through me. And I went and saw you, and you had literally done what I was trying to do. So I went up to you after the show and I was like, thanks for doing the thing I'm trying to do. And now it's already been done. So fuck you. I guess I don't have to do this now. And you were like, you're weird, but let's be friends.
Yeah. Creepy was the word I would use. But no. I remember, God, that's got to be 20 plus, right?
Dude, you know what? I want to say it would be something like, it was before 2003. I know that because I came to California in 2003 and this was in Florida.
That show went from Coconut Grove Playhouse in Florida, where you saw it, to Denver to New York. So we would have been talking about it like 1999.
Wow.
Something like that. And so you went through a treatment center, and that's the part I forgot. That was that period of time you were in. Or was it a treatment center you were in, or were you working there or visiting, or what?
Well, come to think of it, if it was 2000, anyway, wherever it was in that time period, I went to an eating disorder treatment center. Like, I got sober, and about a year and a half into that, I had such a devastating, life-threatening eating disorder that I had to go inpatient for 2 months. And while I was inpatient, I wrote this fucking thing I was writing. I didn't know what was happening, but it was coming through me. And then I got out and was going to a lot of 12-step meetings, and a bunch of us went to see this 12-step I do comedy.
You know, when you said to me, though, that, geez, thanks for doing this thing that I was going to do. Now I don't have to do mine and all that stuff. How many times do you run into that, seriously, in your career where, let's see, Whoopi Goldberg, John Leguizamo, Johnny Knoxville. I mean, that one person show or that script that you've written in your mind and it ends up being on a stage somewhere. I mean, now you've done how many shows? 4, 5?
Five solo shows and hours of stand-up.
Yeah, so that kind of drawing from the well that we do kind of begs my question. You told me to come with a question today. And when you're ready for that, I got one. It's that thing that says there's not enough work for all of us, so I have to steal mine away in a slice of the pie that I can't share with you.
Right.
Occupationally, there's that claw, scratch, climb the ladder. And, you know, Katie Rubin, sure, she's hot, she's cute, but I don't want to help her in the business. Or so-and-so likes me as a friend, but I don't want to give him any work in a film. Or there's, you know, that thing that says there's not enough to go around.
Yep.
And it came out of your head. So I giggled a little bit because I've had that stage of why is there not enough to go around if it's coming out of my head? John Leguizamo's got nothing to do with that. Joe Blow, who's got one-man show, has nothing to do with that.
Well, here's the thing. I don't actually hold that point of view. I don't hold the point of view that if I what I said just there was a joke about how about a joke I made to you, probably. I'm making that up at the time. I don't actually hold the point of view that if I'm getting it and writing it and you're also doing it, that now I'm fucked. But I
don't more either. I don't anymore. But there was a point in my career where I did.
Sure.
I thought I'm doing stand-up, and it happened to me over and over and over and over, where I would open for somebody big, right? Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley. I would open for a big name, Cedric, the Entertainer. I'd open for a big name and think, well, this is going to help me, right?
Right.
It did just the opposite. It did just, and doing stand-up, I don't know how many times it happened to you, but you open for somebody and they go, well, she's too funny.
Oh yeah.
I just want a set up person. I want somebody I can knock down with the BB gun at the boardwalk. That clown. I want to shoot that clown down. There's 2 clowns in front of me, and I want to be the big one.
Okay, get this crazy shit. Look at how magically timed this conversation is. Today, this very day, I was in the park in Martinez walking my dog. I live in Benicia. I drove over to Martinez because I felt like it. Talking to a girlfriend on the phone, and I was telling her a thing that I'm about to tell you, which is exactly on this topic, which kind of fucking blows my mind. And I said to her at the time, I have never said this to any other human being in my life. So now let's just say it to the whole world. And I said to her, I have a weird thing that happens in my life where, let's say me and my girlfriend, who were on the phone at the time, are having a chit chat, and I make a real arrogant claim about myself. Let's say I go like, I'm a badass and I'm better than John Smith at making jokes, or whatever I say. I'm prettier than her. Whatever I do that has any of that energy in it. I'm not kidding you. This like gives me chills to talk about. I will trip. I will drop a coffee and burn my leg. What I did was, and the reason I brought it up to her at that moment was because we're walking and talking, and she was like, I'm more interested in your point of view, Katie, than what the news has to say. And I responded back, me too, I'm more interesting than the news. Right when I said it, I tripped on my dog and made her yelp. She was like, ow, 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 which is like totally my heartstrings, like she's my soul, like, and hurting her is like death to me. My point being, if that happened to you in your life like 2 or 3 times, you'd be like, ha ha ha, that's a little lesson. Or maybe it's not a lesson. It happens to me now legitimately anytime I even jokingly be like, I matter, I'm a big deal, I need that job, anything like that. And so what I'm relating it back to what you said, Mark, there's like all the things I did in my career, whatever that fucking word means, because it doesn't mean fuck all to me at this point. Everything I did in my career to try to get places never worked. The only things that ever worked were things that just came to me because I showed up humbly doing something else.
Yeah.
So it has something to do with flow and humility, and I don't fully understand it at all. But like, why did the Chronicle call me 2 weeks ago to do an article about me when I tried 0% and give no fucks at this point? Whereas I tried to get the Chronicle to write articles about me for years. they couldn't have given less of a fuck about me. I believe it has something to do with if I'm it's that 12-step concept, right? If I'm invested in the outcome, God's like, you're not ready.
Yeah. Danny Trejo said, everything I have is a direct result of trying to help someone else. And while I like that quote, I guess I like Danny. I've known Danny a long time. I've heard him many, many times. And the story never changes, right? I get to the point where I know that it's placement. It's about placement. For me, it's about placement. Every time, and I'm talking, some of these things were early baby thoughts in the career entertainment stage, where if I just do this, then I'll get this. Or because I want this, I have to do this. Or I'm looking at the end of the road, so I got to leap over the next few things to get closer to the end of the road. And that never helped me. I mean, I had so many disappointments because my expectations were so high that I fell short, and just falling short, even falling short was landing in a better place. I didn't see that leap. But I will say this, that what you said about the wanting to and the trying to, it almost pushes it farther back, or pushes it walk past something else. Now, in the big metaphysical picture, the glorious universal truth, which I believe in, I know that I get something because it's time, or I'm handed something that's earned and deserved, but not in a grandiosity way. It's a humility. That's a great word. Humility is, for me, thanking God for my successes and accepting responsibility for my shortcomings. And there's a balance there for me.
Totally. 100%. Now I have a question for you, because I love this conversation so much. Cassidy, who's sitting right here, happens to be someone who I would say is an example of the thing I'm about to describe, where I think, this is my weird little theory, okay? You and I, Mark, are like narcissistic, injured people who are necessarily on a healing path to know God and to walk in service to God.
I'm not going to take your shit from you much longer, Katie, by the way. Go ahead.
Oh, boy. How did Katie Rubin die? Well, she insulted Mark Lundholm.
She insulted Mark Lundholm.
She probably said something real great about herself and tripped over her fucking dog. No, listen, I'm playing with you a lot here, but I agree 1,000% about the narcissistic kind of, that's the stage drive and everything. So please continue.
So what I'm getting at, and I know you get it, I know you're messing around, but like you and I, because of the injuries we have, and because of the wonderful things God does, I don't know why, are on spiritual paths that are, I believe, like what you and I just said. If I'm attached to the outcome, or if I want it real bad, it goes farther away. That is true for you and me. What I find fascinating, Mark, and I wonder if you've found this in your travels, is that
I can't wait to hear what you're going to say about me.
I know, is that people like Cassidy, okay, Cassidy had like a loving mom and dad.
Sorry.
And they nurtured him, and he didn't have alcoholism, and he's just kind of generally generous and kind to people, and he lives in a house with a lot of people, and get this, Mark, he could have sold the house for like $90 million recently. And he was like, I don't know. That feels like it doesn't honor the spirit of the house. And I was like, but what about the 90 million? And he's like, that's not the point. Anyway, my point is, there are these humans, I can't tell if he's on this side or that side, but there are these humans for whom I've watched in Cassidy's life, because we've done a lot of shows together, plays, theater, where he will want it. He will desire it, want it, state he wants it, work hard to get it, and get it. It's like that formula works for him.
Yeah, and I've met a lot of people who are on a parallel path. I've always been under the impression that there's a detour person, and there's a straighter route from here to hero person. The person who, I got a guy named Matt Wolfarth, who I know fairly well. He's a stand-up comic. He's a writer. Jesse Joyce, who's a stand-up comic and a writer, they wanted to be famous and working for on a grand scale. One of those guys is a car salesman today. He sells cars in San Diego. The other guy writes for Jimmy Kimmel. So the two different ways they went about it were, one of them is you and I. He's a broken boy in an adult body who's had trauma and alcoholism and punishment and self-loathing. And the other one's like Cassidy, but the other one didn't do the work to get to where Cassidy says, I see that, and these steps lead to that height or level, and I'm going to work those steps to get there. Meaning, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to tell the truth and I'm going to be faithful in a relationship and I'm going to be honest and a bunch of integrity in my job. And I'm going to treat people fairly and kindly on the way, wherever, up, sideways, whatever. And I'm going to honor where I live in my house because it's not about the money. Foreign language to me, right? I want to set myself up to either tumble backwards so I got an excuse to get mad at you. I'd rather throw a fist than a party. You know, I grew up in that. but I also know that for some of us, Jesse Joyce, Mark, Katie Rubin, clearly we had to take a couple of detours. We got to go through a treatment center for eating disorder in Florida, or we got to go to a detox 5150 4-point restraint situation to get to a level where Cassidy's been for 4, 5, 8 years. He said, "Hey, welcome. How you doing? Can I help you?" How'd you learn how to speak that language?
But I would even go further with it, and then we do need to hear from Cassidy.
That's
I would even go further with it and say that still to this day, yes, I'm very spiritual now, and I'm very aligned, and things flow into my reality now. But still, if I don't, Katie Rubin, if I don't align spiritually and function that way, I could easily go back to pushing the river and trying and stuff. It will never work for me ever to function that way. What works for me is to get aligned with God or the light or the river of consciousness and then ask and receive and be of service. But I watch him and it's like he can literally do things that if I tried to do them to this day would not work for me.
Don't you think that that's the conflict? And I want to include Cassidy too.
Yes.
A, because I'm codependent. B, because I think it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Well, okay. So don't you think that that's the conflict or the alternating current that provides power that says, there's normal, and I believe in this to my core, but it's a question for you. There's normal and the rest of us. There's only two groups. That's really literally where I put my feet. There's normal, most. The rest of us, minority. We can survive our own thinking and on all the chemical abuse and the trauma and the self-sabotage. That's partially my question today for you. There's those people, and then there's the people like Cassidy that they get in the boat and they fucking row.
Right.
And they end up in that river where you and I are trying to steer the current, change the current, put a bridge over it, use a canoe. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, dye the river green.
That's it. That's a perfect metaphor. I want to be in the current of spiritual, helpful, truthful, all those things. Full is no accident there. I want to be in that river, but my nature is not to get in there with you. My nature is not, I'm not a joiner. I'm not a kumbaya, let's do this together. Hey, how can I help you? I have to remind myself of that every day. I have to be outside my regular norm box pattern.
Right.
To get that. And every time I make that leap, I get that thing.
Yeah, exactly. So Cassidy, what are your thoughts on any of this?
I mean, it all makes sense. And I think what I wanted to address was just the sense that maybe I actually think they might be not dissimilar. It's just this sort of way from which you're operating. How can I say what I'm trying to say? Yes, the gifts I was given absolutely 100% set me up to be able to just go, okay, now I'm going to go forward for something that I want. I don't have to, like Katie, sit in a chair for 2 hours every morning just to get to stasis, to center. I'm pretty good at, I'm not always, don't get it twisted. I have all kinds of issues that I've been coping with lately, and I'm coping with them. But point being, I think there's sort of a middle ground of I've never been a go get it, yeah person. Never said, I'm going to be on Broadway. I was like, guess I'll be an actor, and here's some steps I can take towards being an actor. Oh, turns out I'm a moderately successful actor, moderately successful, but I'm satisfied because I am provided with the hierarchy of needs are well met. They are not exceeded. They are not overly generous. They're fine. I'm not trying to be famous. I'd love to be famous, but I'm not going out to get that. And I think every time I attach, if I attach and grip, that doesn't work either. That's when I slip, and that's when I spiral. That's when I spin into brain hamster madness.
That's right.
Katie's has healed me a few times from those places when I've grabbed on too tight.
Well, so thank you. Totally. That's so great, Cass, because it points to that these spiritual principles are they're universal, right? It is true for humans that when we hold too tight, you strangle a thing and then it dies. So you can't have the thing that you just murdered. Like it sounds to me like what we're saying is it's universally true. And people like Mark and I perhaps have more of a proclivity towards strangling things to death.
Right.
Whereas
if you grab, you strangle.
Right. Maybe. Right. Something like that.
You ever done there's a place called Miraval in Arizona, and it's a wellness resort. And they have those exercises that are, I'm missing the word, but it's like they have a ropes course, or you walk on an elevated log or beam. They have that 30-foot telephone pole with a 10-inch disc on the top. You have to stand on it. Now, you're tethered to, you're not going to fall.
Yeah.
But it's when you're walking on the beam, they can tell who you are and what your fears are and where your irrationality or confidence is by where you place your feet on the beam, how quick you cross. They have all these ropes course kind of stuff. The one I remember is I was with a girlfriend at the time, and I wanted to be out of the relationship. I can tell you that before we even finish the story here. It's a short story. But we had a couple of those things they did together. They want you to do as a couple to find out where the yin yang wasn't and where the imbalance was. And so there was one part where the partner, who was me on the ground, had the rope, and it was around her waist. And then she's secured in a harness and stuff. On this disc, this 10-inch disc, to get up to that disc, you had to climb a couple of other things. What the rope on the ground person did was steady them. Well, here's the thing that I did. I was pulling so hard, she couldn't get to the fucking disc. And that's the person by nature that I am. I'm a helicopter guy.
Oh God, Mark, I just recognize what you're saying so deeply. Like there's some truths that you and I have in common.
Well, in relationship wise, are you the guy that's provide for, stable, going to be there for until you can't take anymore, or until they can't take anymore?
I'm nodding. Sorry, we're on radio. I shouldn't nod.
I get it. I saw you nod. I was going to say I heard you nod, but you're not old enough. I'm 61. My neck cracks. People can hear me nod. But that's, so I found out in the big picture, to go back to what the theme was, the grabbing, the holding on to, is it's a lack of control. I over control, or I have no control, so I don't care about control. And don't care about control means I don't even do my part. I don't try. So I'm that vacillate way over to one end of the spectrum or the other. Now, I've probably been in 50 relationships where I'm the guy at the top and she's yanking my balls off, but it's not balanced. And so what I find my kryptonite is, at this point, I don't even date anymore. And not because I'm not a good guy, not because I'm not interested in partnership, not because I'm not lonely ever, but I choose broken all the time, continuously. So in my life, I have a place to work. I'm a father to a 13-year-old and a couple other kids who are almost grown. And I'm an ex-husband to a woman who, in a partnership, we raise a teenager. So there's very little room there at this point. And I'm not complaining. To choose a partner, that's a whole nother life right there. So that holding on to something doesn't include another person right now for me. It does include money and the job and the purpose and the grand scale of why is Mark allowed? Why is Cassidy, Katie, why are we allowed to influence anybody? I know why. I have something to provide. I have a gift. There's a shortcut shortcut for me means there's a straighter route to be like Cassidy. There's a straighter route. We take 5 steps to get to that level. And hey, I didn't want to be famous, but I did want to be on Broadway. Congratulations, Cassidy. I don't care about larger than life. I care about bigger than yesterday. And what I mean by that is this morning I was on a group for 2 hours with Talbot. Talbot's a very elite kind of treatment center in Georgia just for physicians, pilots, nurses, and lawyers. It's professionals addiction program. So I do a 2-hour virtual group with them, and I'm talking to conservatively 60 people who accomplished and they've got a certification or a shingle that says I'm an expert on. And I get to do that because I'm really good at staying sober no matter what. And they'd like some of that. Now, did it pay an enormous amount? No. Do I need it to? No. But what I want to do is serve. So in that capacity, I have to sacrifice. So service means sacrifice. And what you sacrifice, what I sacrifice might be different. But my struggle is I've sacrificed a whole bunch. And every once in a while, I get greedy.
Yes.
Like, hey, universe, where's mine?
Okay. Yes. This is where, just briefly, I want to interject and say, just to give you a little context, Mark, for what we're going to do in a minute. When you ask your question formally, or 3 questions, or whatever it ends up being, before we do that, we're going to do a little simple, easy meditation. I'm going to connect into what's called your Akashic records. You're going to be connected into your Akashic records, which are basically a fancy way of saying your soul in its alignment to source with nothing in the way. No ego, no self, no character defects, whatever. Just who you are in essence and spirit. We're going to tap into that. And then we'll ask and we'll get all kinds of guidance that will surprise me. I have a weird ability to receive from the divine, but it's not. Sometimes they say, okay, Katie, now you talk. And I get to be all, here's my wisdom. But a lot of the time I'm just here to open my mouth and transmit. So my point being, I just wanted to provide that context because when you're talking about all this, I can feel a kind of like central question. There's like a central question that I'm hearing when you talk that I'm excited to present to the divine and kind of see what we get. And you may have known that already, so I may be overstating the obvious about what we're going to do.
I'm wide open today. I'm just like an open channel. That's what I want you to know. I'm not working right now. I don't have to facilitate anything except just answer the question or have that feeling and tell the truth. That's my position in this. Just
fantastic. If you ever get a chance or are curious to listen to any of our previous episodes or another one, even just one of them, after it'll be fun, I think, after having done what we're going to do for you to hear a different one. If that's ever interesting.
Yeah. Now that I'm doing this and we're talking, I probably will be for whatever the reasons you just mentioned. Yes.
Yeah. Cass, were you going to say something?
Nope. Just fixing my microphone screen.
Perfect. So, I mean, we can do that now, Mark, if you'd like to dive in and ask.
I'm talking about that rant there, but it was that was the little piddle paddle background on me as far as the want or the stretch or the grab or the hold. I tend not to claw mark things anymore. I've got more faith than I've ever had, and I'd like to be more useful to the universe than I've ever been.
Mm.
But the core is there's a broken there, and I kind of fall back into that. So go. I'm ready for whatever you want to do.
Okay, cool.
I know you're recording right now. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Hold on.
No worries. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, it sounds like his phone's ringing off the hook, and it may be an important one.
Oh, there's Mark.
I am so sorry about that.
No worries.
There's a part of me that had to happen right now for a reason with all of us.
Yeah, exactly. And while you were gone, we were talking about a kind of a thing that happens sometimes with Zoom, or with technology, where, all right, we're going to enter the realm of the woo now. I'm going to say this thing.
The woo?
So the woo.
Okay.
Like woo-woo.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the term woo-woo? How people make fun of spiritual people by saying you're very woo-woo?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was a thing that you were doing for real.
No.
It's the name of her spiritual path.
Okay.
No, it's what people say to make fun of my life is what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't in that lane. I was in the...
I know.
Anyway, go ahead.
There is a phenomenon that will occur whereby the phone will stop working, the Zoom will shut down, the call will literally hang up between a client and myself when there are certain energies for the client that are going to get addressed that do not want to be addressed. They taught me this in my 2nd and 3rd healing school, and it took me, of course, to the end of the 3rd healing school.
Who doesn't want them to be addressed?
The energies within the person that don't want to be cleared.
Okay. Can you hold on a second? I got to go now.
Yeah, it's getting too woo for Mark. I love it.
Yeah. We did a session with Mark. It took us 8 hours. He kept leaving.
It kept clicking off.
Here's how it works. And I'm going to say this in the overt language I know, because I don't know another way to say it.
All right.
There are demonic energies, darkness energies, entities that literally entities and demonic forces, literally, it's not a metaphor. There are dark energies that do not want the soul of the human to come back fully to the light. They don't want it. They're invested in controlling you and in controlling me and in controlling whatever they can control. So when I'm working with someone who has extra super duper trauma, for example, that call will drop 15 times. And they'll go, "What's wrong with your phone?" And they'll get real attacky about it. And I'll be like, "It has nothing to do with my phone, sweetheart. There's stuff inside of you, not you, but energies affecting the wounding in you that are like, fuck you, we are keeping this wound, period." So anyway, it's very interesting to watch when what happens. And I'm not stating that that's what just happened with your phone call. I'm stating that when you were gone, we had a different thing happen, but on our Wi-Fi. And I was like curiously wondering to myself, interesting, we have a fair amount of interference today. We have a fair amount of hangups. We have okay, cool. So there are some energies at play, not Mark Lundholm, not Cassidy Jamal Brown.
And then I got defensive. Let's be clear. Also, Cassidy got defensive because I was clinging to something about it. Oh, no, it's not me. That's all.
Right.
Funny. I have a very clear vision of what you just said, and I heard you. It landed well with me as far as I believe in that stuff as well. I believe in the all the way from cataclysmic to the benign as far as negativity goes. And demonic is a great word, and dark is a great word, and entities and all that woo-woo stuff. But there's something to it, and I believe in that with all my heart. At times, my relationships have been just that. They block stuff. It's just, there's no accident that she called. Something negative affects her. It's working in the middle of a positive thing with me and you. You know, I use the word, no offense to anybody here, but I use the word talk blocker. When we're working together and discussing, there's talk block. And it means I'm not going to get heard and I'm not going to hear because there's other things interrupting the conversation.
That's right.
She didn't do it on purpose. She never does. I don't do it on purpose. I really don't. I'm not a bad guy. But how many people have I talk blocked in my life or, shut down or go ahead?
Exactly. What I would offer is that it may not even be you at all. When you say I've done it, it's like it may just be these forces we're talking about that are moving through you.
Yeah.
Maybe. Sometimes it's you, but sometimes it's not. All right, so let's open your records. So for this section, you don't have to do anything, Mark, except close your eyes, receive, and listen, I guess, which feels like a funny thing to say to you. I'm like, I get intimidated being like, just now, shh, just listen. I'm afraid to say that too, but I said it. So I'm going to take you through meditation. Then you're going to hear me say a prayer out loud. Then I'll say, I'm going to go quiet for a moment. I'll go quiet for about 30 seconds. Then I'll say, okay, the records are open. Go ahead and ask whatever you want to ask. Please know that you can interrupt at any time once the records are open. And there's no you don't have to be reverent to the thing or nice to it or anything like that. You can just, whatever you need is fine. We can communicate like adults throughout it if you need anything. Okay, so we'll just take a couple deep breaths. Into the low belly to the best of our ability, each of us here. You'll also hear me possibly speaking in Arabic. One of my healing schools was a Sufi school, so sometimes the divine transmits energetic healing through prayer. And I happen to be aligned with the Sufi lineage, which means you may hear me speak Arabic. You may hear me make all kinds of different noises and sounds. That's simply my body acting as a lightning rod receiver. I'm perceiving what's happening in your body through my body. And so if I make sounds or I blow air or if I grunt or yell or moan or sing, these are just parts of the process. And it's either something in me that is aligned, that is facilitating a healing through you, or it's my body releasing something, or I should say experiencing something that you're releasing. Long story long, you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't hurt me. And if it will probably be weird. So welcome aboard. So we'll take a few more deep breaths into the low belly now, coming into contact with the deepest emotional quadrants of ourself that we can experience, down in the low belly. Yes, excellent. We're going to feel the bottoms of each foot now, becoming aware of the bottoms of each foot and how they relate to the ground below them. In other words, there's the sock and the shoe and the floor, and then there's the earth. We're going to become aware or imagine that at the center of the bottom of each foot, there's a little foot chakra or a little sphere of energy shaped like a circle at the bottom center of each foot. And those foot chakras are going to open now. We're just imagining this, allowing it, pretending that it's true. Allowing these foot chakras to open at the bottom center of each foot, such that the bottoms of each foot become open vessels, open planes, open energetic fields that connect you and your spirit to the earth below you. Amen. Allah. And as these things begin to occur, they allow me to tap in with you, which starts the breathing and sounds I mentioned before. And so from this place, we're going to visualize, imagine, or allow a complex structure of roots to grow out of the bottom of each foot, like tree roots, down into the earth for miles and miles down. Complex structure of roots just in your mind's eye, growing out of the bottom of each foot. And we're going to say that those roots are spiritual roots or energetic roots, extensions of you that are Allah dropping into the earth. Good. Good. We're going to see like 500 roots, lots and lots of roots out of the bottom of each foot. Excellent. Okay. Wow. Okay. And as that continues to occur, we're going to visualize, imagine, or allow from the root chakra or the base of your spine, Allah, a grounding cord, or you could say a tunnel or a tube of energy that shoots from the base of your spine, not at the feet anymore, base of the spine, down to the center of the earth. Boom. In one fell swoop. It shoots through all the layers of the earth. This is a grounding cord and connects to the center of the earth. The moment that imaginary tube, tunnel, channel connects to the center of the earth, or Sophia Gaia, as some of us like to call her, the spirit of the earth, begins to contribute Allah, spiritual energy up through the earth, through that channel or tunnel or tube, and into your root chakra, the base of your spine. You can see this like a mist or an energy or a flowing river of light, however you like to see it. Good. Wow. Okay. And so that river of light then splits off as it passes through your base of your spine into each hip socket and down through each leg. So each of your legs are filling now at the quad, hamstring, knees, shins, calves, ankles, good, feet. They're filling with that earth energy that's come up through the grounding cord. Excellent job. That light now travels down into those roots that we sent down to the center of the planet. Each of the 500 roots from each foot gets nourished and nurtured by this light from Sophia Gaia, or you could say the soul of the earth. Good. Now we have in place what's called a tripod grounding structure. So you are connected spiritually to the earth in 3 places. Grounding cord through the base of the spine and down through the roots at the bottoms of the feet. I mean, I can tell you this much already, Mark. Your energy is huge. It's enormous. You're not like a redwood tree. You're like a forest of redwood trees. And it's an honor to be here with you. I mean, I'm just going to listen for a second. Do we need to do that? No. Okay, we're going to open your records right now. So by the power of divine light within us all, come Holy Spirit, Spirit of light, Spirit of truth. For the highest good of all throughout time. Fill our hearts with divine love as I humbly ask permission to open the divine portal to the highest realm of the Akashic records for Mark Robert Lundholm. Akashic beings of light, guide Mark Robert Lundholm to the deepest truth of his being, releasing any blocks and restrictions to his abundance and highest good. Allah! Allah! Allah, Allah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasulullah. Lords of the Akashic Records assist Mark Robert Lundholm to fully, thank you so much, embody his soul's light, to fulfill his soul's purposes, and to heal any accumulated karma. Surround Mark Robert Lundholm with the enlightenment and wisdom of his masters, teachers, and loved ones. Clearly direct Mark Robert Lundholm's perspective and actions to those that manifest his divine plan. And I'm going to go quiet for just a minute here. You can just breathe into this and relax. Free of all resistance, judgment, and fear, we are now filled with divine love, and the records are now open. And so we're just, Mark, for you, going to deliver a little bit of information and a little bit of energy, and then we will dive into your questions. Allah, Allah. So if you could feel into your low belly once again, breathe in there. This energy work is the answer to some of your questions. It is a healing. It is not words or concepts. It is a removal, an alignment, a clearing, Allah, a completion, Allah, astaghfirullah ladim, Allah. It's an up-leveling of your energetic field in the places where you require it and nowhere else. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasulullah. Okay. All right. Okay. And so it is. We're still moving some of that energy now. And if you can, breathe into or let yourself feel more deeply, Allah, everything uncomfortable right now, even if it's resistance to the process or judgment of the whole thing or whatever, anything at all, just bringing yourself into contact with that. Allah, good, yes. Allah, Allah, la ilaha, Allah, astaghfirullah. Kul hu Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Keep feeling. Allah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kul hu Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kul hu Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq min sharri ma khalaq wa min sharri ghasikin idha waqab wa min sharri nafathati fil uqad wa min sharri hasidin idha hasad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas. Min sharri al-waswasil khannas, alladhi waswisu fi suduri nas, min il-jannati wan nas. Subhanallah. And so there is a piece, Mark, for you clearing here if you wherein we being the beings of light that serve the oneness, the light of God, whatever you want to call all of this, we are offering clearing now for the spiritual alignment of the second chakra in particular, and its relationship to the first, meaning, you live your life in service, you serve the light so well, and pieces, individual pieces, in this case, the sexuality, the creativity, the sensuality, the receiving, the pieces of you that receive or that can't receive or that resist receiving or that can receive, all of the stuff around receiving is being brought light, such that the creativity, the sexuality, and the receiving now become energetically resonant with the higher vibrational frequency that the rest of you is functioning from. And you have always been a redwood tree, a forest of redwood trees, attempting to offer potency and strength to the world. Your particular challenges were chosen by you before you came in because you knew they would, well, okay, in alignment with the higher forces, there was a negotiation. This way, for you to experience this particular lifetime, you said, how shall I burn off all this karma? And they said, well, here's a couple of options. The fastest way is this one. You're going to fucking suffer a bunch, but it's going to suck for you this time. Whereas before, you've suffered a lot and maybe done some shady shit in the past lives, like everyone else you've ever met, and not suffered, not given a shit, not had an open enough heart to experience the pain as a result of the choices that harmed whoever they harmed. Okay. And so the agreement was, okay, this time I'll feel it all. Even if it takes me a minute, I'll fucking feel it all. And as a result, I'll be willing to transmute it in this very alchemically potent way where my body will be the crucible that will, like a furnace, that will burn off all of the old crusty nuggets from the past. And so in this moment, what I'm being shown is they are working like a fire hose right now, but a fire hose of light, like fiery divine light, because that's what your system requires, like a big fat fucking tree trunk fire hose of light blowing through Allah, the last bits of you that refuse to be in alignment, even though your mind and heart have agreed. Okay, yeah, I serve God. I get it. I'm here to fucking serve. I get it. These pieces say, yeah, but we're not. And fuck you anyway. Allah. And so those pieces are being Allah pulled upward into that alignment, burned out through the fire of the light of consciousness. Part of why this is happening before you even say words is because your heart is so clear in its desire to have this occur. You showed up here, you show up every minute of your life going, just fucking clear it already. Can I just fucking be done with this already? And we're saying to you now, yes, brother, you fucking can. You just hadn't shown up in the river of light yet, so we could blast it out of you nice and quick. Allah. 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 So we're going to sit with this for just another moment, and then we'd love to hear from you. Allah. Ya Shafi, Al-Alim, Al-Qudus, As-Salam, Al-Razak, Al-Aziz. And if you could, soften your heart even more, drop the barriers in front of and around your heart even more fully. Yes, beautiful. You are so well equipped at this point to receive everything you need from the divine direct. Don't be surprised when next lifetime you come back, you embody as a mystic who like is like a wizard, like a modern, you just come in with magical skills and you're like helping people and going like pew, pew, pew from your eyes and it just heals people. This was the lifetime where you had to burn it all out so you could be ready to be a full-fledged mystic, wizard, shaman, medicine man, griot, storytelling, namaste, all of that. And here's something interesting. We see that in that lifetime, you will most definitely, Mark, remember this one, which is not regular for humans. You know that. People don't remember their past lives. It's like a theory. Are there past lives? We don't know. Well, you'll fucking know. And you'll be like, oh yeah, remember that time that we had that conversation and she said, oh, you'll be a wizard next time. And I thought, oh, she's a little fucking nutty. Here I am, wizarding. I mean, okay. That was a lot. And I'm sitting in the middle of a river of light that flows straight up into the heavens. And it's like a redwood tree river of light. And I'm excited for when you get to hear other people's episodes. So you know it is not always like this. This is very specific to you. Ready for whatever questions you might like to ask the divine.
Okay, question. To start there is, the question I brought with me and actually wrote on a piece of paper was, what is that big block between me and the next level? That was the question I wrote down.
And where do you experience this block in your body?
Well, it's in my balls, and I'll tell you why I mean that. Why I say it. And I swear to God, it's and to me that translates into testosterone, ego,
Yes.
that type A, AAA male.
Yes.
Run you over, bull by the horns, pride.
Yes.
Here's what connect. I felt happy when we were doing this at some point. I went from this is cool to I understand to, man, she really believes she can do this, to I'm listening to her and I'm getting it and I'm hearing the language and I'm not going to block anything with any personal disbeliefs, because I have very few disbeliefs at this point. Maybe it's the level or the life this time. But I'll tell you, when I'm in group with people, when I'm doing that service you talked, when I'm a little sliver of light or a channel, whatever, not the fire hose maybe I'd like to be, but I always tell people, especially when I'm working with males, is you got a redwood tree for a spine and a cement sack. And as a man, that sounds complimentary, but what I'm starting to think is the redwood tree for a spine is a great way to connect to the earth. But the cement sack is a goddamn dead weight. So part of me felt, yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is the piece we were delivering moments ago. Do you remember when it was said, we are clearing your second chakra and purifying the sexuality, the creativity, all that?
I heard that part.
Okay. That is literally what you're describing. We are talking about the same thing with different language. So you said your balls, and we're saying second chakra. Same.
Okay. All right. And when I say that, part of this was sexual. Can I tell you that during that, I wanted to fuck really bad?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Because
100%.
Okay. So that part, which I don't want to supersede, that purity, that heart, that passion, that I get it. There's a connection.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
We have explanations. We are with you. I'm inside. I get it. I'm with you. Yes, this is precisely what we're treating. So in other words, listen, the human sexuality is meant to be the fastest route to God or away from God. The human sexuality is the fastest doorway to God or to the opposite of God. Now, when you come into this lifetime with experiences and traumas and energies like you were carrying, and when you go through in childhood, the experiences you went through, the energetic frequency of your sexuality is aligned with not the first thing. It's aligned with, it's the fastest thing that'll take you away from God. But the good news is, in this work we're doing right this second, we are realigning your balls, your sexuality, your dick, your fucking root chakra, all of it. We are realigning that with source such that you will no longer desire shitty choice people. You literally won't want them. Not you'll have to manage yourself and turn away and have a broken picker and all that bullshit. You won't want them. Number 2, when you have sex, it will be a direct way of communing with the divine. It will be an act of service. So it's not, the options before you, Mark, are not fuck and don't know God or don't fuck in order to have more God.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate kind of parameter.
That's right.
There's nothing like, there's nothing in the middle, you know?
That's right. So we are doing for you today, and if you allow us to, we can get you quite close very quickly, aligning you energetically with fuck in the name of God, which I think is going to have to be the episode title, but also to fuck more to know God, to fuck in the praise of God. Truly, this is what the tantric mystics understood. Tantra got all fucking confused in your culture of the human beings because people are confused about sex. So it's not Tantra that is the problem. It's what people do with it because their tantric organs are injured. So anyway, Kundalini, Tantra, and healing the sexual energy and realigning it with source, those are all clean endeavors that intended to help people know God through the sex act.
Okay. And there's a little kindergarten, preschool knowledge of that or concept I can grab. There's a highway you just showed me and I'm on a tricycle. I get it.
Okay, good. But here's another thing. We're going to be a little more, technical now. Imagine when you are sexually aroused. By the way, the reason you got sexually aroused before when we were doing this is because we're literally shining the light of the divine on that area and going, hey, wake up. What's in there so that we can clear what's in there. Bring it. You have to, it's like when you pop a pimple, it gets worse for a second and then it bursts and you get it. Okay. So when you experience sexual arousal in the future, the practice for you, okay, whether you're alone or with people or a person, is to open your heart consciously, the way you did during the meditation at the beginning when I said, good, soften your heart a little more, or during the healing, I don't remember. You're quite adept at that. You know how to drop the barriers around your heart to the degree that you're capable now. Your practice is, when you're sexually aroused, is to drop the barriers around your heart and allow the energy of the sexual release to shoot up through the middle of you in your imagination into your heart, and know that eventually, the more of this work you do, that energy will not stop at the heart. It will go up to the heart, up through the throat, through the third eye, and out the top of your head. That takes time to develop. What would be the purpose of developing that? It's so that sex becomes literally a spiritual practice, where your orgasm is you getting to have the experience of unity with the divine in concert with another human being, where your hearts are merged as one, and together you're saying, we love you, God. We love you, God. We love you so much. Thank you, God. We love you, God. Thank you, God. And because it's like you're chanting. Sex is like a chant. It's like, thank you, God. I love you, God. And then boom, you're in heaven. That is the point. God is like, there's no reason for humans not to experience heaven on earth, except for their own stuff in the way.
Yeah. And that's
okay.
That makes a whole big difference to me in the conceptually. It's very easy for me to grab stuff. Behaviorally, I blow down in that effort because I don't trust. And that's a big block.
Yeah.
You know,
you don't trust your own ability to choose,
no,
or you don't trust.
I don't. I don't. I'm forgiving with the mistakes, but I'm not a trusting open door. If I trust, you're going to hurt me, leave me, or worse because of the abuse stuff. If I trust, I'm out there without a tether. I'm on a boat with no sail. If I trust, I've just given you that strength, that concrete block ball sack kind of analogy. I've just handed that over to you and hope you don't drop me to the bottom of the well with it.
Absolutely.
That's the defensive posture I take. In the attacking way I approach something, I will grab something by the throat physically. I'm not talking about hurting somebody, but the metaphor of take it by the throat, work, take it by the throat, challenge, take it by the throat, relationship. Well, I'll take it by the throat, but it's got me by the sack.
Yeah. Cassidy, I'm thinking 8 Enneagram. Mark, have you done your Enneagram ever?
No.
When you get a chance, it's a very fun self-typing system. I like to say it types your soul type. I happen to be an 8 Enneagram. There's only 9 numbers you can be. You take a test online. I'll send you a link. If it's fun for you, do it. But I think you might be an 8. It's very illuminating for exactly these types of things we're discussing. I 100% hear you. Would you like to do a little more? They're offering now, we can do some more work on this. Would you like to do more?
Of course.
Okay, so good work. Okay, so let's feel now. Yep, good. Feel down again into wherever you have feelings, down in the second chakra or low belly or crotch genital area. Just be there. And then visualize a line of energy from there shooting up straight through the middle of you to your heart, and then up to your throat, up to the middle of your head, and out the top of your head. So there's a singular line of energy through the middle of you. And as I'm pulling this energy through, or as they're bringing it through for you, stay in touch with that midline. I'm going to refer to that as the midline. Yeah, Shafi, good. Feel that. Yes, good. Allah. This is the trauma now. Good. Stay with it. Allah. Allah. All the trauma, Allah, that causes Mark not to trust, all the lack of trust, all the defensive structures keeping him from being able to trust. Allah, Allah. We're asking for those to be realigned, cleared away, broken apart, removed from his system, broken down, unlocked, uncreated, destroyed, eliminated, eradicated, dissipated, released into the light. All I need you to do is soften your heart. Try to pretend this might be true. Feel what you feel. That's it. Stay with it. This is the Kundalini channel opening, which is the way to connect spirituality to sex. So just stay present. Ya Shafi al-Alim al-Qudus Salama Razak al-Aziz for Mark, coming all the way down into the deepest places of trauma, please now. Divine Mother, Father, all that is, Lords, Masters, and Teachers of the Akashic Records, down into the deepest, most secret, hidden, buried, unsighted, unseen, cloaked or veiled. Allah. What are those called? Spells, curses, vows, soul contracts. We're asking for all of them to be brought to present time, cleared, uplifted. All the past life energy he's carrying that creates this lack of trust and this inability to trust his picker and himself. We're asking for all of that to be brought to present time now. All the soul contracts to be completed, all the trauma to be unlocked, all the past lives to be brought to present time. Uncreate, destroy, uncreate, destroy. That's it. Uncreate, destroy, uncreate, destroy. Stay with it. Uncreate, destroy. Stay in there. Allah, 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 Allah. Nobody here is afraid of you. Allah, 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 Allah. Okay. I'm going to ask a few questions out loud. You can keep breathing. I'm talking to my guides now. All right. In order to clear this fully for him, can we? Yes. Do we clear past lives next? Soul contracts. Okay. Any and all. Just feeling whatever you feel, Mark. Any and all soul contracts you made to suffer with this problem, this lack of trust, this inability to have a purified sexual alignment, any soul contracts you made to carry that for the rest of time into eternity. Do you willingly now give those up, Mark, and send all of that back to the light?
I will.
Okay, great. Allah. Wow. That was a big piece. There's another piece they want us to look at. So it's not past lives, trauma, mental structures, entities, demons, possession of some kind. Okay. Oof. Okay. All right. We're going to do another layer here. You're doing great. That was a huge piece, the soul contracts. They took me into your, like in the womb time and in the moment right before the womb, where right before you incarnated. There's all this blackness, and we're in the like the moment before. There's real cool work being done. Let's just do this next piece here, which is to do with, okay, so I don't know how to frame this. So whatever possession there is of Mark's genitals, sexuality, manhood, manliness, body being soul or spirit by any entities, demons, or aliens, or anything that isn't just him and his soul essence and his spirit. We're asking for, yes, all of that to be cleared, just feeling into your feelings. Uncreated, destroyed, removed, eliminated, eradicated, dissipated. Leaving Mark alone in his body as himself. Allah. Oh, I see. Whoever the abuser was or the abusers left behind, what is it? Energetic imprinting, like, you do what we do. You do what we say. You match now with us. Okay. And it's a magnetic energy and it's very fucking strong. So what's required to clear that entirely? Did we clear it? Yes. Okay, great. Is there any remaining bits of it? Yes. Okay. Okay. So can you just take that now? There we go. Oh, I see. There we go. Okay, and now almost done. And now, okay, what happened for you just there, Mark? Tell us about that.
God, that was a child laughing. Yeah, it was safe. That made me happy.
Right now, what's happening is all the places where things were pulled out, there's divine light filling in. And also, Mark, pieces of yourself that you lost at that young age returning, just dropping in where there was no room for them because these other energies were there. The phrase that is given here is, and you'll hear if you listen to any of this elsewhere other times, is these were nasty motherfuckers, tricky, fucking metallic inserting, nasty, twisty, tricky bastards. And the imprinting of that is so potent through the middle of you, through the nervous system.
Yeah, I got lighter as you went along.
Good. This is the goal.
I got thinner.
Yes. Hallelujah.
And I wanted to hold my breath. And I think that was I'm not gonna be compliant thing.
Yes.
So I did, but that thought screamed in my head, just hold your breath. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I don't want to feel. And the best way not to feel is don't fucking breathe.
Something else happened that I want to tell you during. I thought I gotta remember it. Oh, and the sounds you make and the connection you have with what you're doing, it became less about you and what you were doing and more about me and what I was hearing or breathing or whatever. I love the connection to the ground, the grounding, the feet thing. I do that consistently still now. Never roots 500 roots deep, but that's something I'll put into practice. But it became more about listening to me in the inside instead of you on the outside.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Got good. That's the goal, right? That's the goal.
Well, it was helpful.
Okay, let me just see now. Is there anything else? No, that's all for now. All right. And so they're saying any questions or like clarification points or things you want to ask, like that was a big, weird series of things. Any questions or follow-ups or curiosities you want to explore?
I do have one about the past lives thing. Two things, actually, now that I think about it. I dated a woman who was all about Kundalini and chakra and stuff. And the joke is she was horrible in bed. Horrible. I'm not even kidding. I wish that was a joke. It's not.
I believe you. That's why it's funny.
It was. It's still funny to me. But the passion behind that with this particular person was enlightening because I believe, and I'm not taking somebody else's inventory, I'm pretty sure, my gut says no, but there are people who are passionate about stuff and they're not passionate people. They have a passion about that. They have a passion about this, but they're not passionate people. And I don't know what the disconnect is, but I don't want to be one of those people. So that's what I learned from her. The second thing is past life.
Was there a question there?
No. Okay. If there was a question there, that came up secondarily. But I don't want to connect it to the Kundalini, the past thing, the chakra, the dual sensual. What I learned was, this is a totally different experience, obviously. But what I learned was I don't want to be one of those people who's all about the saying and the telling and the showing and not about doing.
Right.
Because that splits me like kindling. And I can't even, I can't tell you how many times I've felt like a fraud doing my job because I don't feel good. So the question I have is, I was introduced to the lives thing probably 25 years ago by she is I guess she would describe herself as a psychic. Literally, and she makes a living doing it, and it's all that. But her explanation was, and I'm wide open to your answer. Her explanation was, you get like 7 trips, and you get 7 times to come back. And I remember her telling me, "This is your last time. This is the time you get it right." And I didn't like it at the time. I didn't believe most of it at the time, but she was a good fuck. The problem was I didn't want to be limited to the last trip, and it stuck with me. And what you said just now, that was probably because I like it, probably because I want to, is that this ain't the last time.
Yeah.
I don't, in my world, my universe, where my belief system now is, I don't think I would have a God in my life that was that limiting, as far as I know. So that felt wonderful. My question is it important to know how many times or which time?
Yeah, no is the answer that comes immediately.
Okay.
Not at all. Here's what's relevant. What's relevant is, people love to do this crazy, stupid bullshit with past lives and fuck up other people all the fucking time, and we don't like it. Is that the only thing relevant about a past life at all is if you're carrying energy from it that is messing with you now or keeping you from moving forward, then let's clear that energy. Otherwise, okay, you can tell a client or a person a narrative story about their past lives. And guess what will fuck them up even more than telling them a narrative about their present life is you tell them a story about past lives, aka a thing they have no direct access to themselves. And what do you do by doing that? You disempower them. What would be the best? So people come to me and they want readings and they go, oh, somebody told me I was Cleopatra. Was I? And I go, why do you want to know? And then I go, if they say a bullshit reason, I say, well, all I'm capable of doing, I could tell you what I'm looking at. I could tell you what they're showing me, but I'm not going to unless you're willing, 100% willing right now to clear the energy of it. There is no point in creating another narrative for you to get fucked up by. So A, that's a teaching that some people I think are wise who do this kind of work offer. B, definitely not just 7 times is what I hear right now. Like for anyone, that sounds like something that a person learned inside of a system or a structure or somebody taught them that or who knows. C, not only is this not your last time, but this is one of the harder ones, Mark, that you'll, from what I see, and I'm just one lady dipping into the portal of the consciousness of things, so ignore me if you like. But from what I see, you get to have a bunch more where things are fluid, where you get to enjoy living. Not that you've never enjoyed it here, but this fucking go around, what I'm sitting with has been work and then struggle and then work and then struggle and then some moments of, yeah, right. It's almost like I see you on a surfboard, like I'm fuck yeah, and then like crashing onto the sand.
Yeah. I do that with, my son. That's one of the most joyful parts of my existence is I get to raise a kid I made finally. I got 2 other ones I didn't raise. I've had some wonderful, meaningful connections to love a few times. And I'm passionate about my work. There's a whole bunch of that, but that hard you were talking about, that hard stuff and everything, it's consistent. It's just I become so Teflon to it that I don't admit to it being hard. I just fucking put my head down and go through it. And there's a stubbornness there, but that's also kind of dishonest in my heart. So the struggle, part of the struggle currently is we're on the ledge of something. I can tell, right, professionally, and I want to be as open to it and as unblocked and because when I get blocked, it's literally apathy. I don't put any energy or intensity into it because if it doesn't happen, I don't want the hopes to be dashed. And if it does happen, I don't get prize I'm entitled to.
Yeah.
So there's an apathetic kind of, I'm lazy without calling me names. There is a laziness in there that brings me backward to pay attention to it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And it's not fair to people I'm trying to serve, but it's not fair to me first. Mm-hmm. That was the block I asked you about it. That was the question I brought.
Okay. Let me just listen for a moment. I get you. I hear what you're asking.
I know you do.
All right. So cool. Here's the thing. Everything that happened today, from the thing that was happening before you asked anything through the next thing, was in service of removing that block. Simply put, the block is, if you imagine that midline of the body that we described before, like right base of the spine, up through the middle, through the heart, through the throat, through the head. Okay. When that thing is just when that channel, tunnel, tube is open and the spirit of God or the flowing river of consciousness can just flow through it, ... Another way to say that would be when you can actually receive instead of do, push, make, try. The reason you will be able to receive will be because that channel is open and the flow is fluid. So how do you get there? There is no way except through spirit. And it's not going to come. Here's a big clue for you personally. It's not going to come through actions you take, no matter how altruistic they are. It's going to come through direct, Gnostic, mystical communion with God, like you did today. So whether you do that through working with someone who can take you there, like we did here today, or You gain some kind of practice that you do every day where you're flushing out the piping of the tubing of the plumbing of your system. However you go about it, good acts are not going to do it. Thinking appropriate, healthy thoughts is not going to do it. Journaling is not going to do it. Fourth steps are not going to do it. Nothing's going to do it that you can do like that. It must come through the light, capital THEL, capital L, light. Okay. Moving through the middle of you and pulling out everything that keeps you from being a receiver. And at that moment, here's the irony. You were discussing this earlier. You won't even want it that bad at that point. You won't even really care. Truly, you won't. And then it'll come.
That landed solid.
So last thing we'll say is just remember, get some direct pipeline going on the daily that is simply the light blasting through you however you want. And you're going to have to get over yourself a little bit about certain pieces of things. Oh, who's this guy in the funny hat? Or, oh, I have to sit with my legs like this. Whatever that is, like something, you're going to run into something, okay? And it's going to resonate enough that you'll be like, all right, I'll wear the fucking white pants and I'll sit in the fucking tent or whatever it is, right? Understanding, of course, that the pants and the tent are not the point. They're just the outer things that those people do. But what they're doing, the actual mystical work they're doing, is the point. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because they make you put on a hat or just because you have to pay a lady money or just because whatever. Okay. Hallelujah. Okay. So I think unless you have another quickie, we're going to close your records now. Is that good for you? Close your records now. Is that good for you?
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. So, all right. Lords, masters, and teachers of the Akashic Records, Divine Mother, Father, all that is. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this time with Mark Robert Lundholm. I ask that you return all of his energy to him now, fully to him. And anybody else listening, all of their energy goes back to them, Cassidy and Desmond and anyone listening on the podcast in the future. My energy comes back to me now, please. I ask that you return us all to our complete human wholeness now. The divine portal and the Akashic Records for Mark Robert Lundholm are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic Records for Mark Robert Lundholm are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the records, the Akashic Records of Mark Robert Lundholm, are now closed. Amen. Mark, I'm so honored that you would drop into this work here with us and just do this thing. And it's just a beautiful full circle too, just with you as your friend, to be able to, it's like we met at a time where I was just beginning to learn things that would take me to this weird end or this weird moment in my journey. And it's so humbling and beautiful to get to be a part of your journey as well. You've given me so much over the years, even just by inspiring me with the choices you were making, that it is a tremendous gift to my heart to be able to facilitate this with you for whatever it ends up being worth or not worth. So thank you.
Very valuable to me. Thank you for allowing me to trust this process. I wanted to go in this wide-eyed, and I did. And it felt really, really beneficial, strong.
I'm so glad.
Whole kind of thing. Thanks for your help.
Before we hang up, I would love to say something. Mark, don't hang up real quick.
Sure.
I just have to acknowledge something that I was witnessing I just want to say how absolutely humbling it was to watch you be so vulnerable and authentic. You know, this big bear of a cement nutsack man.
Yeah.
And bear witness to things that were resonating with me deeply. A lot of what you were saying, I share. Some things I totally don't share, but it doesn't matter. Point is, you were so available. And I also wanted to say that when I was watching your comedy, the parts that landed for me were those moments. And there were others that didn't because they weren't as available. And when you were present and human and available and real true, those are when those landed, for what that's worth.
Thank you.
I saw that and I watched that today and I had multiple times of tears.
Well, thanks for connecting. I appreciate the work you're doing. And thanks for telling me that, man to man. That was good stuff, too. Desmond, nice talking to you. Cassidy, God bless you. And Katie, thank you again.
I love you, Mark. Thank you for being here.
Love you back. All right.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you going to hang up or are we?
Someone's got to hang up.
All right. Here we go. Oh, I hate doing this. Bye.
That was amazing, Katie. Woo! We went
There
through
we
some
go.
stuff.
Did you?
I did. Yeah. And what I said there was absolutely true. I was resistant to parts of him, and those were the parts that you addressed. Like I was like, yep. Oh, and he addressed it. He brought it up.
Yeah.
And that was gorgeous and beautiful and humbling.
You know, there's nothing I love more than when it's like there's a couple things where it's like, one thing is where you meet a person and they're like, I don't have that problem. I don't have any problem. But then they want you to help them. They're like, but fix it. Like, I'm suffering. And then you go, oh, wow, do you have any guarding around your heart? And they go, no. And you go, I'm looking at some. And they go, no, nope. That's one thing. Then there's this whole other category that is just so beautiful to me where, because I think just selfishly, I identify with it so deeply, which is where Mark was today, where you go, I see this pattern clearly. I get this sucks. I hate that this is happening in me, but I've done what I can do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead. Do your darndest. Because I can see it, but I don't know. I am so honored to get to be with people in that place because it is such a frustrating fucking place, right? When you know and you can't do anything different. You can't. My personal experience, anyway, I'm getting on a big soapbox, but my personal experiences, there were so many things like that for myself where for years in a row, I could tell you exactly what my patterns were and exactly why I was doing what I was doing and exactly where it came from and which was my dad and which was my mom and which was the sexual abuse, but I couldn't fucking do it differently.
Yep.
I literally didn't have access to another thing. And then I discovered that certain things cannot be adjusted within the psyche of a human any other way. Not everything. It's not like the answer to everything, but except that our podcast title would suggest that it is. But I'm saying there are certain things. Anyway, it's an honor. That was a real treat. It was beautiful. I feel lucky that Mark let us see him so deeply, just like you said.
I know it sounds funny now, but when he said, can I just say there was that moment where I just really wanted to fuck?
Yeah.
That was weirdly such a vulnerable, authentic, just statement of truth that I recognized the shit out of.
100%.
And that was the weirdest moment for me to tear up. I just was like, oh, that made me cry. When he said he wanted to fuck, that. I was like, okay, there was a truth.
Yeah.
And I just loved that. That was beautiful.
100%, because it is so vulnerable to admit, like, here you are, a random lady, either you're crazy or you're transmitting divine light into my nutsack and I want to bone somebody. Like, that is really vulnerable to be,
oh my God.
You know?
Cement nutsack is such a truthful thing. Like, oh boy, yes. To fear the cement nutsack. I don't think I'm that like I identify with it as an image for an energy I respond to. And I responded to it in Mark, watching his comedy, meeting him in person. I like him personally very much. I think he's a beautiful soul. God, he's gorgeous. But I also have some things where I go like, whoa, what's that? Why am I fearing, rejecting, defending against something? And when he described the cement nutsack, I was like, yep, that's it. I don't know what else to say. It's the alpha male. He said it. He said it. It's like the alpha male that gotta get it. I'm weighed down in my nutsack. I'm stuck there. Like, yep.
I can't. That makes
my grandpa.
So much sense to me. That makes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Your grandpa?
My grandpa. Yeah. And he died of testicular cancer, you know? Says it right there.
Really?
I think so. I mean, he had it. I don't know if that's what he actually ultimately died of, but yeah. Or not even testicular, but like he was poisoned by the amount of, what's it called? What's the hormone? The male hormone? The bad
testosterone?
one? He was poisoned by testosterone. His body was literally testosterone poisoned. And the things that were hard about him were that. That's a whole other conversation. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but that's this exact conversation because yeah, our timing is off because the delay on when you talk, it's strong on my end. But anyway, I so get what you're saying because in healing schools or in therapy, they teach very overtly that literally every illness any human ever gets is a somatized emotional psychological problem. So to me, of course, if he has like a sack of cement, your grandfather, metaphorically speaking, then what else would kill him? He's not going to have like sinus trouble.
Right. No, it's
He's
so
gonna
true.
get too much testosterone. It's like so amazing to me what the body does. The body just replicates what we're carrying on the other levels and goes, oh, okay, you're afraid to love? I'll give you a heart attack.
Right. Yeah. Little on the nose there.
Both of my parents.
Universe.
And that's how on the nose the universe has to be for us to fucking hear it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I love you, people.
Love you both so much.
Thank you for today. Thank you, Desmond, for all your work, and Cass for being a gem of a human being.
Love it.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.